Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to contribute to the motion that is before the House, and I will speak only on matters that comes under my portfolio. The Ministry of Local Government acknowledges the findings and recommendations made by the Standing Committee on Social Affairs. The Ministry has taken decisive steps towards corrective actions to remedy issues by establishing good governance and financial prudency in the Ministry. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry has managed to resolve a number of internal staffing issues, which has improved the audit qualification. The Ministry recruited five accounts personnel, including a manager finance in February 2018, and 4 accounts officers between August and October 2019 to establish a more robust finance team. Mr. Speaker, sir, from 2015 to 2017, Ministry received qualified audit opinion. This has changed. The Ministry received unqualified audit opinion for 2017-2018 and 2018-2019 financial year after qualified people were recruited by the Ministry under OMRS. To date, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry continues with the in-house capacity building on procedures and processes for effective management of internal controls. Mr. Speaker, sir, while the Ministry has taken steps to address a number of concerns, it will continue to closely monitor governance in order to be preventative and proactive. Mr. Speaker, sir, I will now speak on recommendation 2 and 3 related to the timely completion of capital projects, in particular Lautoka Swimming Pool, Govind Park, and Singatoka Riverbank upgrade. Mr. Speaker, sir, all 3 projects mentioned in the committee report were not completed as scheduled. The Ministry has to make sure that the work is done in accordance to the scope of work is of high standard, quality is maintained, and delivered within the approved cost and time. Because of disputes, the projects were delayed. The initial step is to amicably resolve the issue, and when this fails, the matter is either filed in the court or peer review option is taken to get the work assessed independently on a mutually agreed terms of reference. Such was the case with these projects mentioned in the Standing Committee report. Mr. Speaker, sir, there was a dispute between Lautoka City Council, consultant and contractors that caused delay in completing this project. To resolve the dispute, a peer review exercise was carried out by an independent consultant to audit and validate the works carried out by the lead consultant and the contractors so far. The findings and recommendations in the final report by the consultant will determine the way forward. And we are optimistic that we'll be able to complete this project as we go along. But talking about this project, Mr. Speaker, sir, it seems that the members don't understand the difference between public funded projects and personally when you develop a house or any other project that you carry out as an individual. There is a lot of difference between the two. If you carry out your own project, it's your money, you decide how you're going to use it. You will not be calling for tender, you will not be calling for other things. You will simply get your plan approved, and if you find a good contractor that you think is good, you'll get the job. You'll give the job to that person. That's how easy it is. But for public funded projects, there are financial regulations to be used. There are certain other requirements to be met because we also have to take care of safety and security when it comes to any project that we deliver. There are layers of scrutiny undertaken for that particular project because at the end of the day, the government will be held accountable for it. So we understand that. And sometimes we often actually depend on experts, whether it's an architect, engineer, consultants, plumbers, electrician, whoever they are professionals. They know the job better. We rely on them. But if they're not able to deliver the work as expected, what do you expect us to do then? Exactly. So if it's to do with penalizing, there are so many other methods, like for example, taking the matter to court. Right, peer review is another way of amicably solving the issue, and if we are not able to strike a balance, of course the matter will go to court. Mediation is another option. So there are many other options available, Mr. Speaker, sir, and as a government we have to go through all these processes to ensure that we get the best result at the end of the day. But for individual projects, I can tell you, as an individual, when people make their houses, they go into dispute as well. And sometimes the project is not completed for 1 year, 2 years, or even 3 years. That's the reality on the ground. So let's not come here and say that this is the only issue with public projects. It's also an issue with individual projects as well. But as I mentioned, that we have layers and layers of requirements to meet, and it's only for good governance that we do that. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've also noted that from the opposition point of view, as soon as the announcement is made, as if we are carrying a magic wand, and through this magic wand, we'll be able to complete the project. This is not how it works. Again, there is a preparatory phase, consultation phase, land acquisition phase. Announcement is made, it takes time to complete that. And this is not the case with only local government in Fiji. It's a case with all local governments around the world. For your information, simple projects in Australia and New Zealand can take 30 years to complete. A good example is the airport they are making in Western Sydney. It has taken, and it has taken them so many years to get that project started. But here we are, we have opposition members who don't read, they don't understand how the system works, but they come here expecting things to be done overnight. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also like to correct the Honourable Member, Honourable Geringere Tambua, as she has said that SA, the special administrator that we appointed for Singatoka and Nandi, Mr. Adish Naidu, we approached. In fact, no, he applied. And when he applied, we did not consider his political affiliation. If we had considered his political affiliation, probably we would not have appointed him in 2020, but we did, because we believed in giving any work or putting anyone in a board or as special as administrator based on merit. That's what we did. But let's look around Singatoka and Nandi. Where do you see development in Nandi, Mr. Speaker, sir? What new things have come up in Nandi? So these were the reasons as to why we had to let go the whole team for Singatoka and Nandi so that we can appoint people who can get the job done. This is as simple as that. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want to stress on another point. When the opposition come to this house, they think that there is a lot of money sitting somewhere which can be pulled out as and when needed. And if you compare the budget of Fiji, our national budget, it's around $3.8 billion, as compared to just Auckland City Council. Auckland City Council have a budget 10 times more than the national budget of Fiji. And sometimes I wonder how Minister for Economy runs this country with that kind of money. And yet, he's able to provide pension, free education, all the development work that is being undertaken. Only he's able to do it because it requires a lot of thinking and it requires a lot of knowledge and determination to get the job done. So don't come here and say that we were not able to complete this and that. We're doing whatever we can within our means, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, they also tend to forget that from 2016, we had 14 cyclones. And they're asking, so this is the level of intelligence they have. I'm sorry to say, you know what happens when you have a cyclone. When you have a cyclone, we have to divert government funds in urgent areas, Mr. Speaker, sir. They don't understand. If there is no road, that road needs to be fixed. When the bridge goes down, the bridge needs to be fixed. We also provide food in the area where people cannot access towns and cities. So this is where the funds are diverted, Mr. Speaker, sir. So don't say that, you know, we are not doing what we are supposed to be doing. We're doing everything based on as situation arises. So that was cyclone. After that came COVID. And we all have seen it was about life and livelihood. So capital projects were put aside. The focus was on health and survival. Now that the economy is picking up, and you've heard in the last budget that the Ministry of Economy has given around $2.8 million to complete Govind Park. Mr. Speaker, sir, Govind Park, for phase 1, a 9,600 sitting capacity pavilion with associated facilities such as 2 conference rooms, 4 change rooms, VIP room, 2 restrooms, 1 restroom for people with disabilities, squash room is complete. Mr. Speaker said during the defect liability period, defects were identified, which took time to be fixed. And when you identify defects, obviously there is disagreement between the 2 parties. And that takes some time to solve through mediation or other mechanism. And that was the case in this particular matter. Mr. Speaker, sir, the lead consultant will lead the works for phase 2, and contractors will be hired for the completion of phase 2. And phase 2 of the project will include the upgrade of playing field with drainage, construction of ground perimeter fence, installation of electronic scoreboard, backup generator, construction of ticket booths, and the construction of embankment. So phase 2 of the project is expected to complete within this financial year. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry of Economy, local government, Ministry of Local Government and Bar Town Council are working together to ensure that the Govind Park project is operational by this financial year. Regarding Singatoka Riverbank upgrade. Now, Singatoka Riverbank upgrade with good intention, the money, the grant was given to Singatoka Town Council to complete the river embankment area, and the idea was to create more spaces around the riverbank so that tourists can enjoy that space and activities can be held in that area, like billy races and other things where people can have more access to that space. So it was twofold. One was to create space and also to safeguard the erosion of the riverbank. The project has not progressed well simply because there was a design fault by the lead consultant, who happens to be an engineer from a well-known company. So the design fault was when they did the sheet piling in the river, somehow or the other, the piles fell in the water. So it could not hold firmly on the ground or in the sea or in the river. So it cannot hold. So there was some problem with the design. And when you have a problem like this, I would like to ask Honorable Geringan Tambua, so what, through you, Mr. Speaker, say, what do you expect us to do? It was a contract signed by 2 parties, and the service provider did not provide the service according to the contract. So what do you do? So anyway, so what we can do is we can have negotiation with the lead consultant, who happens to be an engineer, qualified engineer, well-known engineer. Now, if he comes to the table and still does not agree that he's at fault or he should fix that, while you can see the piles are all in the water. So in that situation, we had no other option but to take the matter to court. So the matter is in the court. And what we want to do is we want to recover every cent and other related cost from the lead consultant, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, finally, I would like to thank the committee for the report, and I hope I have given an update on all three projects and the reason why it was delayed. Thank you.